Good evening, everyone, and thanks for tuning into RFL tonight. I'm Richard French. Now, I think the safest statement I could make in these hyperpolarized times is that 2020 has been an awful year, and that, like all of you, I can't wait to turn the calendar page and say good riddance. But as we close the books on this historically bad chapter in America tonight, we're going to spend a good portion of the program explaining that even as we look to move on, even supposed remedies and overdue changes in leadership are really not as simple as they seem. Congresswoman Kathleen Rice, she'll join us to break down what's in and what's not in the desperately needed stimulus package that seems destined now for passage. Now, we're also going to discuss the COVID vaccine, the promise that it holds, but also the peril if certain leaders don't encourage their fervent followers to get inoculated. And also, finally, in the ever perplexing and expanding category of you can't make this up if you tried, I'll tell you more than you needed to know about ongoing plots and coups and martial law, if only if it was just a bad joke. So I'm going to start tonight with an admission. I'm a New York Jet fan. Yes, I know. And unlike my miserable brothers, I did not root this Sunday for another loss. I did not, nor will I ever, embrace the tank. Perseverance and effort, they resulted in a well-earned and well-overdue victory, even if it comes at the expense of a top draft pick. I am an optimist by nature and a fervent believer when it comes to redemption. And that outlook, it expands well beyond the playing fields. Believing in our better angels, I have held out hope for the past year that given a choice between selfishness or sacrifice, far more of my fellow Americans would have put country before party and mask up and mitigate. I've learned to live with disappointment. But that disappointment is tempered by the brilliance and the courage of our scientists and the frontline medical workers. The vaccine, my friends, it works. And assuming we can get our act together with its distribution, we can finally see the finish line. But we will need leadership to get there. 3/4 of us have to take this thing. Today, Joe Biden did his part. He rolled up his sleeve. Like the vice president did last week, he told Americans it is safe, it works, and it is the patriotic thing to do. My president, however, like he has so often during this crisis, he has gone MIA, and at his insistence, he has divided in an unprecedented degree our country into a shirts and skins contest. After his negligence has cost untold thousands of lives here that didn't need to be lost to us, he could do one thing, just one thing right before he is forced to leave office. He can full-throatedly encourage his followers to get the shot and do so on live TV. He can roll up his own sleeve. That would be the decent thing to do. It would be the right thing to do. And maybe that's why I am not holding my breath. Next, we get to the stimulus. The optimist in me says, hey, it's months late, but at least it is a start. Money will finally start going out again to American families that are hanging on by a thread. And hopefully, in the dead of winter, in the teeth of a pandemic, millions will be able to stay in their homes and apartments and avoid eviction. I want to look at today's developments as a half-full proposition. But what's missing and the motivations I believe behind it have me worried. Mitch McConnell, he has not cared about deficits since Obama left office. But suddenly, he is now concerned about the price tag. Also, states, including the one that you are watching me from, they are faced with horrific choices and happening soon to decide between unprecedented layoffs of first responders, hospital workers, teachers, and basic services, or have massive tax cuts, which we all know no one can afford right now. Congress is the only lifeline to prevent a desperate situation at the state level from spiraling into the unthinkable. So, why won't McConnell open up the checkbook? The only plausible explanation is it would help an economic recovery under a President Biden. And to Mitch, that's bad politics. It's political cowardice and unpatriotic calculations, I'm afraid, will not go away just because Donald Trump will be forced to leave the White House. And then that brings me to what my president is actually spending his time on. More than being absent for months, When he's not serving as a super spreader with this pandemic, our commander-in-chief has been confronted by his intelligence community and his own cabinet with uncontrovertible evidence that the Russians again, have launched a massive hack on American interests. His fellow Republicans on the Intelligence Committee joined the fellow Democrats to say that this is a modern-day technological Pearl Harbor by a foreign adversary. Doesn't get more serious than that. My president? Well, of course, he blames who else but China without any evidence again. And of course, he excuses Putin. Pathetically un-American, but predictable. He did, however, hold high-stakes meeting this weekend, but they had nothing to do with protecting American interests, only his own. Surrounded by a who's who of the Conspiracy Crackpots Association, ideas ranged apparently behind closed doors from independent counsels, seizing election machines, and even martial law were tossed around. I kid you not. Now, you know we've reached crazy town status, even by Trump standards, when even Bill Barr has had enough.
I think to the extent that there's an investigation, I think that it's being handled responsibly and professionally currently within the department. And to this point, I have not seen a reason to appoint a special counsel, and I have no plan to do so before I leave. I see no basis now for seizing machines by the federal government.
You know things are bad when Bill Barr, the professional apologist, won't even agree with the president when he's only got 2 days left on the job. Listen, I try to be an optimist. I really do. It's tough to go through life the other way. But my president and his opportunistic enablers make it really tough. But hey, if the Jets can win a game, maybe there's hope even for the rest of us. All right, coming up next, everyone, a key Democrat in Congress. She'll join us to discuss the $900 billion stimulus plan and whether or not it's going to be enough to help the millions of Americans who are struggling as we speak.